The approach to Emunah, which we're going to be introduced to it this week, I just want to bring out another inyan. We're living in this man of Hester Panim. When the Rabbi doesn't show himself, this is our Nesaya in this man of we're going to elaborate Miyas Hashem on this. There were generations when everybody saw the Rabbi Shalom, the Abbas Agdashim saw, Yidden by Yitzias Mitzrayim, the Yidden in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, the Yidden in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, for hundreds of years, they witnessed big Wolfson, wonderful things. Like it says in the Mishnah, in Avos. The Mishnah in Avos was written very close to the Beis HaMikdash, from the Tanaim, the early Tanaim. And you have the Asara Nisan, which you had in the Beis HaMikdash. And these Asara Nisan weren't something that once happened. You was able to see them every day. Well, it's true that these Asara Nisan that the Mishnah mentions was in the first Beis HaMikdash. But even in the second Beis HaMikdash, they saw Nisim and Nigelim, Kseda, Nisim and Nigelim. And the generations after them, in the times of the Tanoim, here and there, and the Gemara tells us Wolfson that the Tanoim did, like Rabbi Chanina ben Daisa, a very big part of Masechta Tainis speaks about the Wolfson and the wonderful things of Rabbi Chanina ben Daisa and his Chaveirim, and the times of the Amayraim, times of the Ge'ainim, times of the Rishainim. And then there could have been a little pause, and then came the Baal Shem Tov and his Talmidim. Yidden saw big things. And today there's Hester Panim. The Rabbi Shalom doesn't show himself. There's reasons for that. This is our Nisayan. This is our test, to have Emunah even though we don't see those things. But still, here and there, we do see. There's a pasuk, you say it every Friday night in the Luchon Ran, and the pasuk in Tehillim, Ha'iru v'rakav tevel. The lightnings of the Rabbi Shalom illuminated the tevel. Tevel means earth. But there are 7 names for our planet Earth. You have Eretz, Adama, Alka. There are many names. The Gemara mentions 7 names for our planet. One of them is Tevel. What does Tevel mean? Tevel means confusion. You have it in Chumash, in Parshas Amaya. So over there, you have the mumim of the Kohen, and that's puzzle for the Aveda, and mumim of an animal, that's puzzle for a carbon. So one of the mumim there is tvalul, a mixture, a confusion. In other words, there is a white vein running through the pupil of the eye, and that confuses his eyesight. He doesn't see clear. That's called tvalul, a mixture. So Rasha brings in the Parsha of Arayas, where somebody marries one of the Arayas, So the pasuk says tevel asu. It's a mixture. It's mixing of the seeds in a very inappropriate way. The Rabbi Shalom isn't happy with that. Tevel means confusion, mixture. Now supposing somebody would be walking in the country where there are no lamps, in a dark night, a cloudy night, and it's raining. He sees nothing. It's so dark. And for a moment, lightning. And everything is illuminated. He sees everything mamish like by daylight. But that is only for a moment. And then it's dark again. But that brief moment of the lightning was enough to give him direction where to go. He saw the road. He saw which way the road is. A lightning in the middle of a dark, rainy night. The pasuk says, "Hayiru v'rakav tevel." The lightnings of the Rabbi Shalom lighted up the confusion of the night. We are now living in a tevel, in a world of confusion. The whole arena which is presented to us, the whole setting of the world, is one of Hester Panim, where the Rabbi Shalom disguises himself and hides himself and doesn't show his kavod. And the Rishayim, they're having a holiday. They're having a field day. They do what they want. And in our tevel, in our Hester Panim, here and there we see things. Sometimes we have tzaddikim today, but the Rabbi Shalom doesn't give them reshus to show meifsim the way our great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers saw. They saw real meifsim with debukim and such things. They saw. We don't see. There's Hester Panim today. The reshus is taken away from the tzaddikim to show meifsim, to show miracles, nisim. But here and there we do see something. We do see something. Here and there a tzaddik does a certain thing. It doesn't happen too often, but when it happens, it's hayiru v'rakav tevel. For a moment, the confusion of the dark, rainy night is lit up. We see, just for a moment. I have had personal experiences, a lot of personal experiences with great tzaddikim who aren't there anymore among us. But I have had very personal experiences, mamish meifsim, which cannot be explained al b'derech hateva. But I choose not to speak about them here in public, where it's being taped. And I'll tell you the things that happen to other people. If anybody wants to know things that happen to me, come into my office and we'll talk. Years ago, when I was a younger man, I was living in Williamsburg, and we had a chabura in Musel. There was a few young light got together, and every Tuesday night, and we got chizuk in Avodas Hashem, in Emunah. It's a very important thing to have such little meetings. By the Hasidim, they call it a chabur, and the Litvish yeshivas, they call it a va'ad. And there was a yid over there whom we respected very much. Leiber Asafsky, his name was. He has a grandchild now who runs a yeshiva in Monsey. A very respected yid, a chassidish yid, a ish emes, a big Oved Hashem, and he used to give us hadrachas and avdas Hashem. and I learned very much from him. So he told us a story that he witnessed. He was there. The Slonim Rebbe, Zechariah Levracha, who was a tzaddik Wolfson, he lived in Russia, in Slonim, came to visit Yerushalayim. And he had Hasidim there. And they were very attached to the Rebbe. He was a ball of fire, that Slonim Rebbe. Fire mamish. The Hasidim were very attached to him. And being that he was there for a short time, they wanted to get the most of him. So they met together every night and they ate supper together. Every time by a different chassid. Now, in Yerushalayim, especially in those days, that was about 50 years ago, especially in those days, every Elech Yid had a beard. Yerushalayim, not to have a beard. Everybody had a beard. There was Chassidim and literature there. The Chassidim had a beard because the Baal Shem Tov, he advocated having a beard. The literature had a beard because the Vilna Gaon advocated that. They were the literature Yidden of Yerushalayim are the real Talmidim, the descendants of the Vilna Gaon, of the Gra. And they keep his minhagim and his hanhagis. But here and there was a Yid who didn't have a beard for some reason, like those who came from Germany or whatever. They didn't have that nesayah of having a beard. So among the Slonim Hasidim who used to get together every night with the Rebbe, there was somebody who was very attracted to them. He was a very Elech Yid, but he didn't have no beard. I don't remember his name. I'll call him Yankel. Maybe his name was Pinchas, but I'll call him Yankel. And this Yankel used to come every night and he used to drink with thirst every word that the Rebbe said. So one night, the Rebbe says to Yankel, one morning by the davening, the Rebbe says to Yankel, we're going to eat supper by you tonight. Which was a very big honor. Well, this Yankel was a pauper. He was an ani v'avyan migoizla. He didn't have anything. And his friends knew it. So they all scratched together. Somebody brought fish, and somebody brought some flesh, and somebody brought some herring, and somebody brought some chveizvas. And they scratched together a Suda. The Rebbe comes, sits down, and this Rebbe Asafsky, my Rebbe, my mentor, was there among the Hasidim, and they sit down, and fish is served, and the Rebbe talks and talks and talks, and he doesn't eat. After a while, so if he doesn't eat, nobody ate. After a while, the Rebbe says, Yankel, by Chassidim there's a minhag that you eat from one plate. Maybe you have a big plate and we're all going to eat from one plate. So Yankel doesn't answer, but he looks at another Yid who was there. There was a fine scholarly Yid with a long beard like Nachshon ben Aminadav, and he looks at him. So the Rebbe says, what are you looking at him for? So he says, I'll tell you the Rebbe the truth. I didn't have any money to make a Suda. Everybody helped me out. This Yid is my neighbor, and he gave me dishes. So now they understood why the Rebbe doesn't want to eat. He knew that the dishes aren't getayvelt. So he asks this Yid, the dish giver, tell me, are these dishes getayvelt? Did you tayvel them? So he says, well, these are new dishes, and really they're glazed over with glass, but the inside is not glass. And there are some poskim that say that you don't have to table them, and it was a bit evid. So I gave him those dishes. The Rebbe was able to tell that the dishes aren't getabled. So the Rebbe turns to Yankel and says, Yankel, you know the difference between you and that Yid? When you're going to come after 120 years to the Kisei HaKavod, they're going to tell you, Yid, where is your beard? Yid, wo ist dein Bart? When he comes to the Kisei HaKavod, they're going to say, Bard, wo ist dein Yid? Rabbi, there were tzaddikim who were able to see these things. A Yid told me that happened with me together when I lived in Williamsburg. He was a nice Yid and now we're not talking about the Rebbe. Now we're talking about a Gabbai of a Rebbe. So the Gabbai of the Rebbe, people said on him that his big Bal Madreig, big Oved Hashem, used to come make his rounds every year in the small little towns by the Hasidim of the Rebbe to collect mamad. It's a certain amount of money that they gave to the Rebbe. And this man, Mr. Singer, his name is Zechayna Levracha, his father used to be the fortunate person by whom the Gabbai stood. He was his host. So he told me, when I was sitting among some other Yidden by a table in the Polish Stiebel, that when he was a boy, so this Gabbai came, and the mother complained that the Gabbai is a Choshev Yid and he's coming for Shabbos, and the knife is an old knife and it's not nish kampanim. It's not presentable. So he went and bought a new knife. So he told the boy, he was a young boy then, around 10 years or 11 years old, go to the river and table the knife. You know, the tiny little towns, there wasn't even any mikveh, they used to table in the river. So it says, go to the river and table the knife. So this boy went, and it was winter, and the river was frozen over, and he had to take some rocks and whatever and work and bang until he cracks open a hole in the river so he'll be able to table the knife in the water underneath the ice. But he was too lazy. He confessed, he told us, I was a young boy, I was a small kid then. So I came home and I said I tabled the knife, and it was a lie, he didn't table it. His father made a mistake. You're not allowed to entrust a boy under bar mitzvah for tfilas keilim, al pi halacha, because it's a daraisa. The father made a mistake. Al pi halacha, even if he would have tabled it, he wouldn't have been naaman. But that's what happened. So the Yid makes kiddush, and they habit him to wash, and he comes over to the table, and there is the two chalas and the new knife, and the Yid takes a knife in the hand, puts it down, and says, "Nu, sakin." Can't talk out after until he said dying, but it's for the purpose. So the Suda says, talk Melashon Kodesh. So he said, do the mesa. Sakin. So they had to bring him the old knife. So he makes a bracha, and he eats a gezayis, and he says, the mesa is nicht geteilt. So they tell the boy, no, that you didn't. I said, my boy, getay with the mesa. So the Yid asked him, just getay with the mesa, Pinchas? His name is Pinchas Singer. So he says, no, he confessed. The Yid were able to see such things. There's a very famous mindset that Yashaber Brisker once came to visit Rabbi Yamin Diskin. Rabbi Yamin Diskin was the father of Rabbi Shua Leib Diskin, the Rav in Yerushalayim. So he had to go. He was in the middle of traveling. So Rabbi Yamin gave the Brisker Rav a piece of chicken to take along on the way. He should have what to eat. And he left, took the train, And then the Rebbetzin comes in rushing, I give out. There was a shaila on the chicken. She found something wrong, and they asked the Rebbe, and it was strife. I give out. What are we going to do? Rabbi, is that the brisker Rebbe is going to eat this chicken? So the Rabbi Benjamin Diskin said, don't worry, he won't eat the chicken. He won't. And then a few days later, he came back from the journey and came again to Rabbi Benjamin. So the Rabbi was standing there. So he says, I'll show you something. He says, you had nur got from the stückel chicken, was gegeben? So he says, I had a bellyache and I just couldn't eat it. And then I smelled it and I thought it's rotten, so I didn't eat it. It's Tzaddik has a shmira min hashamayim. There's this very famous story that with the Yeshua Yankov. The Yeshua Yankov was once traveling, and he came and he stopped off in the house of a certain Rav, and he visited him. And the Yeshua Yankov was a gadol adoyah. So the Rav runs into the kitchen, tells the Rebbetzin, bring kibbutz, bring something to eat, recover to the Lemberger Rav, the Yeshua Yankov. So she prepared something in the kitchen, and they sat down, and they were speaking about a Rambam, and then the Rebbetzin brings in a pancake, eggs baked in a pan with fat, whatever, and butter. So they sit down, and then the hot piping hot pancake is served on a dish, and instead of eating, the Yeshua Yankov takes the knife, cuts it into the pancake with his fork in one hand, the knife in the other hand, and he says, there's a Rambam in Hilchos Kedushin, that's a Shvera Rambam, and he starts talking about that Rambam. So he says a whole pull, yeah, very nice. So the Rav, the host, says, Lemberger Rav, the pancake is getting cold, make a bracha. So instead, the Lemberger Rav says, yeah, but there's a Rambam in Hilchos Gittin, that's a very difficult Rambam. And he starts talking about that Rambam, and he transfers the Rambam. Lemberger Rav, the pancake is cold already, should we rewarm it? There's Rambam. Then the Rebbetzin comes in running, and did you eat the pancake? Oh, Baruch Hashem, you didn't eat it. Good. What happened? She just realized she made this pancake with butter, and she made it in a fleishika pan. So the Rav asked Yeshua Yankov, a Meises? Lemberger Rav Yeshua Meisim? He wasn't a chassid. He says, this is for the chassidim. So Lemberger Rav says, the Yeshua Yankov says, this isn't a Meises. Simple. I took the knife to cut the pancake, and as I was cutting it, from the pressure, there was a splash of butter right into my face, and it made my face dirty. So I figured, I am Lemberger Rav. If this pancake has so much chutzpah to splash me in the face, he's treif. So I know that it's treif. There come such mindset, and even in our day we see such mindsets, as I told you, more fantastic than what I told you. And you see such things, but they happen seldom. It's hayiru v'rak of tevel. It's like the Rabbi Shalom lights up momentarily for a moment, and we see brightness. Here and there we see the Rabbi Shalom, but we're living now in a very deep hester, dark blue hester panim. The Rabbi Shalom is hiding his face, like it says in the pasuk in Parshas Nitzavim, before Mashiach comes. V'yanoichi haster aster as panei meihem. Rabbi Shalom says, I'm going to hide my face. There'll be a period when Yidden wouldn't even see the Rabbi Shalom. He wouldn't show his presence. And with Emunah, We're going to have to go through this most difficult period and believe in the Rabbi Shalom, even though we don't see. And this is what Rabbi Shalom wants from us now. This is our Nisayan. Why this is our Nisayan? We're going to talk about it. I think I told you this, mindset, but just in case not, and even if I did, maybe some other people didn't hear it, there was a machlekes between two tzaddik and the Kotzker Rebbe and the Apta. So the Apta once sent a messenger to the Kotzker Rebbe, and he said, with me you have a machlekes? You dare have a machlekes with me? Do you know that on Sukkot I see the 7 Ushpizen, Avram, Yitzhak, Yankov, Moshe, and Yosef, and David coming into my Sukkah? I see them. So the Kotzker Rebbe answered, and with me you dare have a machlekes? Do you know that every Sukkot I believe that the 7 Ushpizen come into my Sukkah? I believe. Believing is a bigger madrega than seeing. So this is our Nisayan in these days. But from that wegen, the Rabbi Shalom sometimes has Rachmanis on us, and he gives us a glimpse of himself for a moment, and then it disappears again. But we do have Giluyim today. The Rabbi Shalom here and there does show himself today. But our tafkid, our calling in this world, our shlichus, when our neshamas were sent down into this period of darkness, is to believe in the Rabbi Shalom, notwithstanding the Hester upon them, notwithstanding the way the Rabbi Shalom disguises himself. Such as the thing.